Let's now bring in Ibrahim Fraihat, who's an associate professor of conflict resolution at the Doha Institute for Graduate Studies. Welcome back to Al Jazeera.
Thank you.
Ibrahim Fraihat, the UN flag is supposed to provide protection in a war zone. And this was the deadliest attack, as you've been hearing, on UNRWA since the war began. And there are hundreds of employees that have been killed, hundreds of facilities that have been damaged. Why hasn't the UN been able to put an end to what looks like disregard of UN facilities by Israel?
Thank you. Well, actually, the flag, the UN flag or the UNRWA flag, in this case, actually, instead of helping to protect the organization, actually, it makes it a target for the Israeli government, because this is how UNRWA emerged from the beginning of this genocide, where it has been a target by the Israeli government for what it represents. UNRWA represents for Israel as the right of return for the Palestinian refugees who were kicked out of their homes in 1948 and what's known now as Israel. So UNRWA presents a cause, a right of return for refugees. And this is what Israel has been trying to eliminate. And we've seen this in the beginning of this war. UNRWA has been attacked several times. It has lost over 180 of its staff in different attacks during the past 11 months. Also, there has been a campaign against UNRWA that some of its staff were involved in the October 7th attack, which led several European countries to freeze the funding to UNRWA, some of them until now.
Well, that also led to, you'll recall, the Colonna reports that was put out in April, an independent body that was looking into the works of UNRWA. Calling it, when they put out the reports, they said the work of UNRWA is indispensable to Palestinians. So what impact does the lack of protection and assistance, what impact will it have if that UNRWA lifeline is cut off?
In simple words, it has catastrophic results for the refugees and on the humanitarian level for several reasons, but mainly UNRWA is the most knowledgeable and understanding of the situation in Gaza. It has been working with refugees in Gaza since 1948, and it's very indispensable. It knows, it has the records, it knows the places, it knows people by names. The staff of the UNRWA are locals as well, so they're knowledgeable of the area. And it has a system of operations that extends all over Gaza that makes humanitarian delivery essential and indispensable. No international organizations, including UN organizations, can come into Gaza and replace and substitute UNRWA.
Would it be correct to say, Ibrahim, that this is the only UN agency that's dedicated to a specific group of refugees? Those are the Palestinian refugees, of course, but it has no real ability to solve the root problems, which are displacement and statelessness, correct?
Absolutely. And this is, again, what leaves UNRWA confined to the constraints that it were established to operate only in a humanitarian, on the humanitarian level, humanitarian delivery, education, health, but are in these areas only. So it has no power to defend itself, and it has become a target by Israel, so it can be attacked, and it has been attacked several times, including this time, and we'll continue to see this as a target.
So when attacks like these take place, to what extent does this lack of accountability, or the lack of accountability that we've seen so far throughout this war, set a dangerous precedent that we're putting politics over people?
Unfortunately, the Security Council, the member states of the Security Council know this very well. And who's supposed to be protecting the UNRWA? It's the Security Council. This is an officially UN organization, an international organization as part of the UN. So the protection is granted by humanitarian law, and the member states should be able to enforce this protection. But unfortunately, as we see in all other areas, the issue when it comes to Israel, Israel's impunity against international law It's protected by the U.S., and then there is no accountability mechanism in place in order to be, or implementation of accountability in order to provide the protection that UNRWA needs.
Okay.
UNRWA is very essential, is very dispensable. We have already one of the most humanitarian, man-made humanitarian disaster in the world in the past decades. And only UNRWA can deal with this situation. It has to get to be protected, given a free hand in order to do humanitarian work, only humanitarian work. And UNRWA proved that it's capable of doing this.
Thank you so much, Ibrahim Freyhat.